Today's topic of discussion, you. This video is going to bring every topic we've spoken about so far in the Listen to Me When series, from confidence, self-worth, self-belief, imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, fear of success, and everything else that's been used to create these foundational pillars to help you understand what it takes to build up those characteristic traits that can help you overcome the adversities you're facing, whether they're self-inflicted or created by an outside source. By the end of this video, you're going to gain complete clarity on what area of your life you need to work on, adapt onto, and grow through so that you can start to really head towards those goals and not have to face those setbacks that are self-imposed. So in this video, I'm going to break down why each of the pillars from the Listen to Me When series all contribute to the growth of your journey, to the success that you will see in the attainment of your goals, and why each pillar is as important as the previous one. So we are going to start with you. And once you understand how these 4 layers all contribute to each other, and when they work in complete and synonymous harmony with each other, you are then now going to be able to break that cycle. So first of all, we have our foundation layer. And our foundation layer is made up of 4 of our key traits, from self-awareness, self-worth, self-belief, and confidence. Now, the reason why self-awareness is the first trait inside of our foundation layer is because if we're not first of all aware that we have issues with our self-worth, our self-belief, and our self-confidence, we cannot fix what we are unaware needs fixing in the first place. So self-awareness is the diagnostic layer, because you cannot change what you cannot see. So without this, everything else is guesswork. And next we have self-worth, because once you can see yourself, the question now becomes, do you believe that you matter? Which isn't built by achievement, it's built from the inside. And next is self-belief, because it doesn't matter how much self-worth you actually have or how much you value yourself, if you do not believe that you can go out and achieve what it is you are setting out to do, none of this is relevant anymore. Because having self-belief is almost like trusting the process before there's evidence to suffice that you can go and do it. And then the last pillar of the foundation layer is confidence. And confidence essentially is a byproduct of having a high level of self-belief, which is trusting the process before you have evidence to suffice that you can do it, which is then also backed by self-worth, which is actually if you feel you are worthy enough to go and achieve the goal as well. So confidence essentially is built as a byproduct of having a high level of self-belief and a high level of self-worth, which first of all, you need to become aware if you can fit into these categories. Which now brings us on to layer 2, the exposure layer. Now the exposure layer is super important and probably the most crucial, because this one is really going to expose how fortified and how strong our foundation layer traits really are. So the exposure layer consists of 3 pillars: validation, imposter syndrome, and the fear of success. So first of all, we have validation. And essentially what validation is, it's self-worth and self-belief being outsourced, because you're essentially seeking somebody else to supplement the way you feel about yourself internally. Because now, because your self-belief is so low and your self-worth is so low, you need someone else to tell you how great you are as a confidence booster. And this is where it's interesting, because validation also flows into imposter syndrome as well as the fear of success. Because when we are seeking external validation because we are lacking self-belief, lacking self-worth, and that is affecting our confidence, we are then going to feel imposter syndrome because we are now being validated externally. So it's going to get to a point where we have a conversation with ourselves and we say, am I really as great as other people think I am? Can I really achieve what other people say I'm capable of doing because of this character that I've been portraying? So the validation is only momentarily supplementing the low self-worth, the low self-belief, and the confidence, but it's actually feeding imposter syndrome because we don't have a strong rooted self-worth and self-belief. So now we only are ever going to really feel like we can achieve something when someone else tells us we can. And because we don't think we can, we now feel like we don't deserve the success that we're now getting, which then leads us onto the fear of success. And this, of course, as I mentioned, each one going backwards contributes backwards and forwards to each trait. So because we are now fearful of success, because we don't believe we are who we need to be to achieve the goal, because we've been seeking validation from other people to supplement these 3 pillars up here, Now we feel like an imposter, so when we do succeed, we wonder, can I keep hold of it? Am I who I really need to be able to hold this goal, to be able to hold this new version of myself that the external world can see, but internally I feel like I'm a failure. So I am fearful of success because this is going to expose who I really am, which now brings us on to layer 3. That is the output layer. And now the output layer is created by self-sabotage. And the reason why self-sabotage is part of the output layer is because this is what is going to prevent us getting to the 4th pillar, which I'll discuss in a moment. But the reason why self-sabotage actually happens is because how each of these going backwards again contribute to us getting to the main goal, for us getting to where it is we're actually aiming to reach. So when we can somehow outwit imposter syndrome and we can somehow outsmart reality into being able to be fearful of success but still see it anyway, feeling imposter syndrome because we feel like we don't believe in ourselves enough, we don't have a high enough self-worth to actually go and attain the goal, and that we have to seek external validation. If somehow we can outwit reality through all of these different traits, we will reach self-sabotage. And self-sabotage is where you are internally going to prevent yourself moving forward because you do not think you deserve what is coming. So you're going to find a way energetically, vibrationally, logically, physically to stop yourself seeing the success because you do not believe that you deserve to have it. So now, with self-sabotage, we're going to see how each of these is contributing. So if we have a low self-worth, low self-belief, we understand that we're going to supplement the way we feel through seeking external validation, which then is going to give us imposter syndrome because we only feel good when somebody can supplement these. And if we don't get enough likes on a picture, we don't get enough people telling us how great we are, we don't get enough people constantly feeding us this need to be told that we're amazing, we are then going to, of course, be fearful of success. And then when we somehow get to the goal, we're going to self-sabotage and make ourselves go backwards, which then brings us on to layer 4, which is being able to actually attain the goal. So this layer is called creating your reality. And with the creation layer, this is where the outcome lays. This is where the goal is. And the thing with goals, as we know, for people that have set ourselves goals and we've achieved them, the goalpost always moves. So although we may achieve the goal for level 1 or level 2, what then happens is we go to move the goalpost and try head on to the next endeavor. Because you may first of all have a goal to make a certain income or to reach a certain following or to work with a certain brand or anything that your goal is relevant to you. You may go and achieve what feels like step 1. But then as we move forward, this cycle is going to continue to repeat again and again, regardless of what level we're at. But each time the stakes get bigger and each time the goal grows and the goalpost moves further forward, these multiply tenfold. Because now, not only are you concerned about achieving the next goal and thinking, am I who I need to be able to do it? Imposter syndrome. Do other people think I can do it? Can someone else tell me that I'm good enough? Validation. Do I think I have the ability to actually go out and do it again? Because first time I got lucky, which is lack of confidence, lack of self-belief, lack of self-worth, and you're fearful of what can happen, you are now going to self-sabotage. But you don't only self-sabotage, getting to the next level and you can maintain where you currently are. You're going to be so fearful of other people figuring you out. You're going to feel like a fraud because you don't believe that you even deserve to reach goal 1 in the first place. When you self-sabotage, you do not just go back to this new level of normal. You could actually create such a detrimental situation for yourself because let's say you manage to outsmart and outwit this through level 1, 2, 3, whatever it looks like for you. And you get to a point where now you've built a mass following. You're working with huge brands around the world. There's now legal things involved. There's so many things that are predicated upon you delivering on what it is you promised you would do to whatever the goal is. So now, if you start self-sabotaging or you start feeling imposter syndrome at a point where you've got 1 million followers or you've got a large income and there's a lot of people that are dependent on you, but because these foundational layers are so weak, you are not simply going to fall back to square one. You could completely destroy your entire career because you ignored the warning signs at the earlier stages of your journey. So now you might be wondering, how do I work on each of these traits? How do I know which one requires my most attention? By let's work back from the goal to where we are right now and what is most important in the process, because as you can see, the reason why it's mapped out in the layers in this specific format is because if we start at self-sabotage and we think my problem is self-sabotage, first of all, we can't even know that that is the problem if we're not first self-aware. So we need to start back at square one and actually become aware of where we even are. Where is it right now that I am? Where is my square one? Where is my plan A? Where am I? Because now that we're self-aware enough to understand where our self-worth lies, our self-belief and our confidence, then everything can trickle down and we can start the process of elimination, which is actually why I recorded the videos in the Listen to Me When series in the order that I did, so you can follow this to know where it is you are at. So if you have not yet watched those videos, go back and apply all of the information and knowledge I share in each of these broken down subtopics so we can get to the point of the goal, because this isn't just cute and fluffy information. This isn't just some rah-rah mindset goo-goo that we're just throwing out there to try and make you feel a little bit better or supplement the way you feel. By working on these layers, this is future casting. This is using foresight so that when you need it most, you have already built a fortified level on each of these pillars, because you can outsmart reality for a short period of time. You can, like we've already discussed in this video, you can somehow use validation to completely ignore the imposter syndrome. You can use it to not have to face your fear of success, and you can step into this hustle culture that the world is putting out there right now, where they're telling you just to push. When you're being told to, when you're not feeling good, just keep working harder and you'll get there and you'll be able to get past it all and you'll break through and you'll come out the other side, and when you get the result, you're going to feel better and none of this will be relevant anymore because you've got your desired outcome, you've got your desired reality, which is enough to distract you from all of this. But what happens when you finally meet your match? When you finally open the door to the goal that you've been trying to attain, and all of a sudden all of this gets exposed, because it's like, yeah, okay, I managed to do it for level 1 through till 5. I managed to make this income. I managed to build this following. I managed to build this size community. I managed to go out and achieve these things, live in my dream place, achieve freedom that people talk about. But there's going to be a day where you're met face to face with yourself, where you're going to have to sit there and ask yourself, okay, am I really who I need to be to maintain this? Can I keep doing these things that I'm doing to uphold this image? Can I really push on to my next level if I have to constantly make sure that other people are telling me I'm great because I don't believe that I'm who I need to be to go there? So right now, this may not feel relevant, and that's okay, because this video is going to find you when you're at a point of consciousness where it becomes relevant to your journey. But the reason why I'm talking about these types of topics and not just saying go out there and push and try outsmart reality for as much and as long as you can is because one day you will face this, because you do not want to build things on weak foundations. Because if you do, the entire thing that you have created, spent so long at doing, you put the sweat equity in, you put the energy in, the effort in, you've done sleepless nights, you've worked as hard as you possibly can to attain this goal that you have set for yourself. But as we know, the goalpost is continuing to move, and when it does, do you want everything you've built over that period of time to completely crumble, all because you didn't know how to believe in yourself? Do you want everything you've built that is predicated upon you having a good level of self-worth and is predicated upon being self-aware enough of who you are to maintain or sustain where it is you are right now, to all be completely diminished, all because you have imposter syndrome, you're fearful of success, and you're self-sabotaging because you don't believe in yourself, you don't have the confidence or the self-worth, because you constantly need the validation, and it's a constant cycle going round and round, and you're finding yourself back at square one again and again because you've convinced yourself that you can outsmart the way you really feel internally, when our world is first of all created on the internal and the external will reflect it. So whether you can outsmart it for a month, a year, 10 years, whatever it may be, at some point you're going to come face to face with these situations. And if you think that's cute and fluffy or me trying to scare you, ask yourself why there's depressed billionaires. Ask yourself why there's people that continuously seek new ways to give themselves a buzz. Because as you get to a new level in life, and what was once exciting and once felt like a goal because you hadn't experienced it before, you are going to get what is called the law of familiarity, where you are now familiar with that lifestyle and it's become normal to you because you've been exposed to it for such a long period of time. That can happen with your income, where making an extra 2,000 to 5,000 a month can feel completely life-changing. Then you've done that for 6 months and all of a sudden a 5k month is a bad month to you and 10 grand is great. Then you get to 10k and now having anything less than 10k is a bad month and 20k is the epicenter or the pinnacle of where you can go. And it's going to continue to grow and scale as we move the goalpost. So there's going to come a time where you're constantly seeking bigger levels of validation and you start doing crazier things to try and get other people's attention, because all you are trying to do is fill an internal void which you have only created because you've ignored your level of self-awareness. You've ignored all of these pillars, you've ignored all of these traits that can prevent that happening. So when you see success, you will keep it. This is not just about being able to get there once, holding on to it for as long as you can and saying, man, we had a great ride, that was fun while it lasted. No, because what's the point in building something that can be taken away from you simply because of the way you think and feel? So now to conclude, what to actually do following on from this video and what actions to take. This video is going to be something you can come back to again and again after you have watched each of these subtopics, by starting with self-awareness. Master the art of self-awareness by doing the practical steps I give you in that video. Watch self-awareness, come back to this video and see if it all feels relevant to move on to the next step. When it does, study your self-worth. I don't just mean watch the video, listen for 10 minutes and say, yep, I feel like I understand it now, I'm ready to move on. Really follow the processes that I give you in that video so you can master self-worth and understand where you're at right now, so you know what you need to build on in your self-worth, and then following on from each of the subjects. And every time, returning back to this video and seeing how the new level of self-worth you've built, the new level of self-belief that you have built, see how that is contributing to your life. See if you've started to notice differences by watching self-belief and applying the self-belief principles. If you've started to notice you no longer need validation, if you no longer feel like an imposter because you've been working on the foundation layer, and actually track your journey. See what is actually changing as you are studying these topics, and make sure you mention it in the comments too, because of course that's not just for me to understand that people are really listening to me and they're hearing what I have to say. I want to ensure that people are following this process, they're applying it, and they're getting results in their life, because that's what's important, is how much is this information really doing for you, not so much as what it's doing for me, because I've studied these processes for years of my life now. And like I said in the trailer to creating the Listen to Me When series, I have done this because I wanted to create information that I wish someone could have gave me at the start of my journey, because we understand the power of mentorship, we understand the power of information and being able to almost learn from other people's failures. The truth is there isn't enough time in the world for us to go through all of the failures ourselves, so the most efficient thing we can do is learn from those of other people. So by tracking how your journey is going, and you are starting to see the changes happening in your life, and of course you may start to see high levels of income, you may start to see these big changes in the physical world because of the work you are doing internally. So be sure to go and check out each of those videos, and as I say, track your journey. Keep me updated. You can connect to me on socials. You'll find a link to my social media and my website if you are someone that is looking to really dive deeper into these subjects and to really make that long sustainable change, not just something that you can do momentarily, but you really want to invest in yourself and grow. You'll see the link to my website. You can connect with me there and we can have a conversation and see if we're a good fit to help you get to that next level. But by doing this and helping me understand where you are in your journey, we can really go on to grow and create a community of not just like-minded people, but we can start to cure the internal issues, the almost epidemic that's happening that is being unspoken, because this is happening in so many people's lives and they're so unaware of what is happening. So by sharing this information and by applying this information, we can start to heal what is happening in this generation when it comes to the desire for a greater life. So if this video hit, share this with someone you love and care about and someone you believe could really take value from this conversation. Go and check out these previous videos and return to this one every single time you feel like you've started to master the smaller traits. My name's Harley. Do the work, trust the process, and I'll see you in the next one.